You want to take them? So this is a coati, and his name is Congo. He wants crickets. Chad will give him a treat in just a second. And they can go up to 30 pounds. I've only seen one 30-pound coati in my life, Harold, which is actually his dad. He was born in Texas. In the wild, they were first studied in South and Central America. And if you ever hear the word coati, and then you'll hear Coati Mundi, he thinks I have treats in my pocket. When you train a lot of animals like this, you train them with treats. And we first started off training very vicious coatis. And the only way I could get them to go near me was wear like a welding mask and big Carhartt jackets and put marshmallows and worms and stuff in my pockets. And this will sound kind of crazy to you, but we discovered accidentally that they love very expensive perfume. I was working with a coati once named Abu, and the thing was trying to kill me, and my wife came over to make sure I was alive, and he went over to the part of the cage and started smelling her, and she had, you know, I think it was beautiful perfume or something like that on, and she was smelling her and got all like calm and lovey-dovey, so I said, give me a squirt of that stuff. So I started, you know, I never went as far as wearing the dress or anything like that, but, you know, I was getting hooked on that, you know, beautiful was pretty good. So now actually there are many researchers that when they go out in the wild to study coatis in the wild will actually use perfume like that. It's not from me. Everybody kind of discovered the same thing by accident, it seemed like, at the same time. But these guys, if you hear the word Coati Mundi, that word Mundi just means alone in a South American dialect, and it doesn't apply anymore. When they first discovered them, they found troops of coatis anywhere from like 15 to 25. And they'd find one by itself. And for some reason, they assumed the one by itself was like a subspecies, so they called it Coati Mundi. And later on, they realized that it's the same thing, but it's a boy. So the boys you'll find by themselves once they hit about 2 years old, and the girls you'll find living together. Now, I have 5 daughters and 1 son, and whenever I mention, especially to my 11-year-old, when I say, she'll say, I can't wait to be 18 and move out of this house, because my wife is very strict. You know, but all kids say that, right? They can't wait to move out until they move out, then they want to come back home, or at least get some money from home, right? I say it could be worse. You could be like a coati. If you're a female coati, you never leave home, okay? If you try to leave home, now what he's doing now, and this is proof that I wear deodorant because some people question that, is he's taking my deodorant and he's putting it in his tail. And this is 2 things. One thing, they love smells. And another thing is the kind of studies that in science that we usually do is more behavioral stuff. And we've done some tests on coatis before where you can take a bunch of people and put them in a room. They'll pick up your smell, and you can go hide. Even we did this outside in my yard. And they will find you. He'll stop and look for you, but he'll smell his tail, then stand up and actually smell the air and try to find you by sense of smell. So if we get separated, or if I just take off and go hide, he will find me by smelling his tail and smelling the air, and he'll locate me that way. So kind of a twisted little thing they do, right? I don't know, I'm not sure quite how that serves them in the wild. But the female coati will always, they always live together in large families. Now the boy can be the best behaved boy coati in the world, and once he hits about 2 years old, they kick him out. And if he tries to come home, the mother or the aunt, the sisters, they'll run over, they'll bite him in the butt, they'll bite him in the tail, and they chase him far away. And this is important in the wild because this keeps them from inbreeding. So that coati will roam around, and then he'll go to a tree. They are the only member of the raccoon family that is diurnal. So they will be up during the day, but they do like to sleep in the trees at night where they feel a little safer because jaguars and stuff like that will hunt them. And some snakes, we'll show you a snake later on that would love to eat this thing and could eat him quite easily too. So the boys will roam around until they find a tree where there's no relatives, and they'll invite themselves over, and then they will try to breed, you know, and carry on. Must be a scary thing. I remember my first date with my wife. Her father looks like Lurch. Did anyone here old enough to know who Lurch is? Okay, he looks just like him, has the personality and everything, you know. And I just remember being so scared going to her door, like especially the second time after I had met, you know. And these coatis, they have to go over to like a tree with like 25 women there to ask out one. You know, that's got to be like the most nerve-wracking thing ever. But I've been doing a lot of, the way I do get most of my information is by talking to people that are smarter than me. And as my 11-year-old daughter pointed out to me just this morning, she said, Dad, that shouldn't be hard for you to do. So my kid's a little fresh. But some of these are getting that now. So when I was talking to people and calling people and emailing people all over, I always do it again before I do another talk, just to kind of bring myself up to speed in anything that might have been discovered like this morning. And I asked about if the temperature of the Earth does in fact rise, and most people would say it is rising a little bit, and we'll talk about numbers a little bit too. Would it have an effect on the Coati? And they said, Ed, we say absolutely not, just because they're discovered in South and Central America, but have made their way to Texas, Mexico, and Arizona. Okay, so they're discovered and first studied in the tropical rainforest, and now they live in Arizona. So Arizona, how many people have been to Arizona before? Not much of a tropical rainforest there, right? So I think one problem that I see in my industry, and my industry maybe not as much as some of the other ones, is people don't realize how tough animals are. I mean, I spend my whole life, like I said, be 44 tomorrow. I've had exotic animals my entire life. And we certainly look out for their well-being. But sometimes we get into dangerous things where we're spending lots of time and money and concerns on an animal. Maybe it's not a concern. As far as the Coati, they've been adapting. They're going to continue to adapt. There's no studies and no evidence to show that there's going to be anything negative if the planet gets a little warmer for these guys.